What is clear is that he may be in some very serious tax trouble. A federal investigation has been underway for at least 2 years now. The U.S. attorney in Delaware, somebody who Joe Biden kept in office even after Donald Trump had left the White House because he was a Trump appointee, that U.S. attorney has yet to make a decision on whether to charge Hunter Biden with any crime. But the incoming chair of the House Oversight Committee is not waiting and is making it crystal clear that Hunter isn't the only Biden on their radar.
The Biden family's business dealings implicate a wide range of criminality, from human trafficking to potential violations of the Constitution. In the 118th Congress, this committee will evaluate the status of Joe Biden's relationship with his family's foreign partners and whether he is a president who is compromised or swayed by foreign dollars and influence. I want to be clear. This is an investigation of Joe Biden.
I am joined now by Tim Farley. He is an Emeritus contributor on Sirius XM's POTUS channel. Tim, great of you to be here, especially to sort of work through some of the things that we're about to hear a lot about, for the next 2 years. Let's just start with the overall narrative. A lot of Democrats and certainly Democrat channels have just tuned this story out. They almost don't even think there's anything there. And some channels have almost said nothing but Hunter Biden. How is it that you can get to the American people and help them understand what's really going on with this investigation without it sounding like it's a partisan job on some side?
Well, I don't know that you can, especially with, I think you made the point earlier, which is that this election was about the economy, it was about crime, and it was about inflation for Republicans who hoped to win. For Democrats, it was a little bit more about things like abortion and issues of democracy, but I think it's going to be very difficult to make the case, even with the reams of evidence that's being promised. It's going to be very difficult to make that case to voters if you are going to not pay attention to those issues that drove them to the polls just a few weeks ago.
So let me ask you something really technical. It's something about SARS, and it's not the SARS that we think of as a flu bug. It is a special activity report. There are apparently 150 special activity reports, according to the representative you just heard, James Comer. Those SAR reports are accumulated. They're apparently, documents that banks file with the government in cases of suspected financial fraud. They're kind of like red flags. So what do we know about what Representative Comer said about 150 special activity reports accumulated by the Bidens?
I think the point is he said these suspicious activity reports are out there, 150 of them, but we haven't seen them yet. I mean, if somebody's looked at the documents themselves, and I guess that he has, and if they are indeed what he says they are, then we should be able to see them and he should be able to make his case. But I think that just saying you have them is the first step. And if you're going to have the hearings, then have the hearings and then you can bring it up. But I don't know what's in those. And I know that there is a question in there somewhere about perhaps Hunter Biden being connected somehow to some Eastern European human trafficking, prostitution, but being connected to, being responsible for, those are all words of art. And I think you need a lot more detail before you start making final and full accusations about anything. Suspicious activity reports are filed. Usually they're confidential. We'll see what we see if those hearings indeed do take place and they bring that evidence forward.
So then I think the next question is, if they start to have these hearings and lots of ugliness comes out, do you think this is the kind of thing that would automatically go to the big I, impeachment? Because a lot of Republicans were very angry that their president was twice impeached. Do you think that that's something Joe Biden's going to face?
I'm sure there's anger. I'm not sure that at this point it's going to be pretty tough to get that kind of a vote going. I mean, first of all, we don't even know if Kevin McCarthy is going to be the speaker. There's been so much of late saying that he is going to be challenged. And, that changes the whole complexion of what's going to take place. And if you have, and again, this is a point you made a little earlier, Ashleigh, if you have razor thin margin, then you are going to make some of those more moderate Republicans very powerful. They may not choose to go down that road. Speaker Pelosi, in her time, was very reluctant to even go down that impeachment road because of the fact that it could wind up being harmful to the Democrats. I don't know that it helped them. I don't know how much it hurt them, but I don't know that that's probably the smartest thing Republicans can do, is to try to impeach Joe Biden through Hunter Biden. I know that Congressman Comer said today that this would be an investigation into Joe Biden and not Hunter Biden, but we'll have to see exactly what he tries to bring forward.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.